Tech investor Chris Sacca listens to a question on #TalkingTechLive. Photo, Brian William Jones, San Francisco. One technology investor stepped down and another issued a public apology as Silicon Valley's widening sexual harassment scandal exposed more tales of bad behavior by venture capitalists. More than 24 women spoke to the New York Times in recent days about being sexually harassed by tech investors. 10 of the women named the investors involved. One of them, Dave McClure of 500 Startups, gave up his leadership of the firm he co-founded. Another, Chris Sacca, published an apology before the article appeared. The revelations published Friday came 1 week after 6 women accused binary capital partner Justin Caldbeck of making unwanted sexual advances in the technology news outlet The Information. Several said the misconduct took place when the women sought funding or guidance on their businesses. The explosive allegations have brought the venture capital firm Caldbeck co-founded to the brink of collapse and have exposed the bride-era problem, that men with wealth and influence are using their position to prey on women who are seeking funding and advice to build their careers and companies. Alleged predatory behavior by a prominent venture capitalist has struck a chord on social media, where women who have come forward have found deep support, suggesting that the cone of silence that once protected perpetrators has cracked, if not shattered. I hope the industry continues to support women who speak up and shun men who do these things, said entrepreneur Sarah Kunz, The Who, when discussing a possible job at 500 Startups in 2014. Received a 4 a.m. message from McClure on Twitter that said in part, "I was getting confused figuring out whether to hire you or hit on you." One accusation led to another, after a multimedia pioneer Mark Cantor defended his behavior with a female entrepreneur who accused him of sexual advances when she sought advice. Another woman in tech tweeted she wasn't surprised, since he had propositioned her many times. Binary fund to wind down. Caldbeck was forced to resign Sunday. A second partner, Matt Mazzio, also resigned, and the third, Jonathan Teo, has offered to resign over continued questions regarding my behavior, according to news site Axios. Limited partners have already voted to wind down Binary Capital's latest $175 million fund. 2 startups funded by Binary Capital, Haven Leah and Adia, have terminated their board relationships. A third, business messaging startup Assist, has requested to buy back its investment from Binary Capital and end any working relationship with the venture firm. In the meantime, the venture capital firm is being swayed by a former Binary Capital principal, Ann Lai, for harassment and defamation. On Friday, the New York Times reported that when Caldbeck invested $25,000 in San Francisco entrepreneur Lindsay Meyer's fitness startup, she began receiving constant texts from him asking if she was attracted to him. When they met in person, the encounters would gradually get out of hand. He would sit too close, touch her leg, hold her hand, and then kiss and grope her. As soon as he committed funds, it gave him access to me, and that put me in a difficult position. I had to respond and be available to him, Meyer told USA Today. When you're a female entrepreneur, it's hard to get access to investors, and it's hard to get them to invest in your company. Then you meet a guy who says, "This is great," and he understands your business model, starts offering to help you, and writes a personal check. An investor in Binary, which was notified of his behavior, did nothing, and later apologized for the firm's inaction in a statement to the newspaper. Related, startup investor Dave McClure steps down after sexual harassment complaint. Sexual harassment scandal shakes Insleer, influential venture capital world. Use language, I flirt fun. Wendy Dent, 43, sought business advice for her smartwatch apps in Emers from startup advisor Cantor. She says the tone of his correspondence took on an increasingly sexual nature when they met at a cafe to discuss her startup in 2015. Cantor praised the idea and offered to be her advisor. Dent says, "Then, within minutes, he said, 'You are spectacularly beautiful. Distractingly beautiful.'" Over the next few weeks, Cantor's messages became more provocative. Dent says, in one message, obtained by USA Today, he wrote, to quote a wise woman, "What's in it for me? I apologize that our meeting got cut short. That's the downside of flying by the seat of your pants." In another, he referred to Dent as a sorceress casting a spell. "You sick image is haunting my psyche," he wrote later that day. Cantor, 60, who founded what is now Macromedia, denies he ever agreed to help Dent and says he didn't like her idea. "At no time did I have any expectations to sleep with that woman." Cantor says, "I use language, I flirt, I try to cut through bullshit. That's my style. If I flirted with her, it was to drive her away, and it worked." Says Cantor, a self-described old fada feminist. Dent used her sexuality to get attention and it worked. She got plenty of press coverage after Cantor's initial comments in The Times. A second woman, Dana Boyd, a principal researcher at Microsoft Research, tweeted, "Horrified but not surprised by Mark Cantor's justification of his sexual harassment. He propositioned me for a threesome many times." She wrote, "Didn't matter how many times I said no, or how awkward it was." Cantor vehemently denied Boyd's claims, calling it a witch hunt. Dent says she wasn't seeking attention or fame. Sexual harassment is not about sex. It's about power. She says, advisors and VCs have so much leverage, and push women against the wall because of that power imbalance. Horrified but not surprised by Mark Cantor's justification of his sexual harassment. He propositioned me for a threesome many times. This behavior isn't normal. That realization seemed to be sinking in Friday at a mostly male tech gathering in Las Vegas in 2009. Entrepreneur and investor Susan Wu Sahita, a prominent tech executive, touched her face in a way that made her uncomfortable. She spoke with The Times, who asked Saka for comment. He responded with a blog post, "As more and more brave women have come forward to share their own tales and experiences from the hostile environment of the tech world, it has become clear to me there is a much bigger underlying issue in this industry," Saka wrote, "and I am realizing at times I was a part of that." Rakila Rennick, a CEO of Wethos, told The New York Times says she encountered sexist remarks when raising money for her online community site in March. She and her female partners endured the remarks because they could not imagine a world in which that $500,000 wasn't on the table anymore. Wethos ended up raising the money from another investor. "The reason Ia came forward is to let other female founders know that this behavior isn't normal, you don't have to take it, and that there are plenty of good-hearted people out there who will take you seriously, and you deserve to be taken seriously," Rennick told USA Today. Silicon Valley's dirty little secret, the way it treats women after Uber. More women speak up about Silicon Valley sexism. Exclusive venture capital to make diversity pledge. Venture capital is overwhelmingly whited. Male venture capital is facing up to its diversity problem. Michael Moritz taking heat for comments about hiring women. More USA Today coverage of inclusion and diversity in the tech industry.